I'm Katie Barlow. Coming up tonight in the courts, former President Donald Trump making headlines in all 4 of his criminal cases. Fulton County, Georgia's district attorney on the witness stand defending her reputation, and D.C.'s mayor threatens legal action over the Wizards and Caps move to Virginia. It was a busy week in the courts. Let's get to it. All right, folks, mark your calendars. We now have a date for the first time in American history that a former president of the United States will go to trial facing criminal charges. New York Judge Juan Manuel Marchand announced Thursday that the jury selection in the hush money case will begin March 25th. He did so over the objection of Trump's lawyers, who continue to argue that scheduling a trial during a campaign is election interference. But Marchand wasn't biting.
They want to keep me nice and busy so I can't campaign so hard, but maybe we won't have to campaign so hard because the other side is incompetent. I'll be here during the day and I'll be campaigning during the night.
Trump is facing 34 counts of falsifying business records for allegedly paying off porn star Stormy Daniels in the final days of the 2016 election in order to influence the outcome. Trump's fixer, Michael Cohen, made the payment to Daniels. He says on Trump's behalf, Trump's company reimbursed Cohen, but said it was for legal expenses. Prosecutors say that's fraud.
It is a lie. It is a lie.
Meantime, on that same day the trial was set in New York, Georgia Judge Scott McAfee considered whether Atlanta's top prosecutor Fani Willis should be disqualified from prosecuting Trump. Willis had a romantic relationship with her hand-picked top prosecutor in the Trump case, and both are facing claims that they misused public tax dollars. Willis and Nathan Wade told the court that their romantic relationship began in 2022 after Willis tapped Wade to lead the prosecution in November 2021. But a former friend and co-worker of Willis's said under oath that's just not true.
When did your romantic relationship with Miss Willis begin?
2022.
When in 2022?
Early 2022.
So you were appointed in November of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And your relationship started early. What's early? January? February?
Around March.
Around March. But you two met at an October 2019 judicial conference, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You have no doubt that their romantic relationship was in effect from 2019 until the last time you spoke with her?
No doubt.
Wade testified that his relationship with Willis ended last summer, but he was forced to admit on the stand that he had sex with Willis during his separation from his estranged wife, even though he claimed the opposite in his divorce filings. After Wade finished testifying, Willis says she ran to the courtroom, telling her lawyers she wanted to testify and withdrawing her motion to quash the subpoena, seeking her testimony.
Let's go on and have the conversation.
I'm just asking you whether or not it was a coincidence.
Had absolutely nothing to do with this. It's interesting that we're here about this money. Mr. Wade is used to women that, as he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich. We would have brutal arguments about the fact that I am your equal. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And so there was tension always in our relationship, which is why I would give him his money back. I don't need anybody to foot my bills. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy.
Is there anything else you would like to add to that?
No.
Judge Scott McAfee will consider now whether Willis and Wade can remain on the team prosecuting Trump and 18 co-defendants for efforts to undermine the 2020 election results in Georgia. And Georgia and New York are both state prosecutions, but remember, Trump is still facing 2 different federal criminal prosecutions by special counsel Jack Smith. On Monday, Trump asked the Supreme Court to press pause on his criminal trial in Washington, D.C. over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Trump claims he's absolutely immune from criminal prosecution, But a unanimous three-judge panel on the D.C.-based federal appeals court disagreed with him. Now, he wants the Supreme Court to halt the criminal case while he asks the full appeals court to reconsider. It's highly unlikely that the full court will take up his case. This is yet another delay tactic by the Trump team, but it's one that might work. After this taping, as of this taping, the Supreme Court had not decided whether to hear Trump's case. If they deny his request, his case will immediately go back down to the district judge, Tanya Chutkan, and trial will move forward as early as this summer. But if they grant his request and they hear the case, trial will be delayed, possibly till next summer. Trump and his legal team also spent time in a secure room in Florida federal court this week, arguing that Trump's own appointee, Judge Eileen Cannon, should reveal highly classified documents that prosecutors say is potential evidence of his unauthorized retention of national defense information. That meeting was sealed. It was not open to the public. Prosecutors argue the particular information that Trump wants has little bearing on the evidence that will be used against him at trial. But on the flip side, the documents could contain details revealing sources and methods of intelligence collection, as reported by the New York Times, something prosecutors who accuse Trump of mishandling just such information want to keep from him.
Think about how unusual this is for a criminal defendant to be able to sit in a closed setting with his judge that is presiding over his criminal case with his lawyers present. The government is not allowed to be present, but this afternoon, beginning at 3 o'clock, the government returns to be able to explain to Judge Aileen Cannon why she should agree with them to be able to keep certain items of classified information not turned over during the course of discovery to the defense.
Meantime, special counsel Rob Hur, who said President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified material after he was vice president in 2017, will testify on Capitol Hill. Hur did not recommend criminal charges, describing the president as, quote, a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Republican House committee chairs are demanding to see the transcript of Hur's interview with Biden. Hur has agreed to testify before the House Judiciary Committee on March 12th. And Congressional House ethics investigators say they have text messages that show Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz asked a woman who received payments for sex from Gaetz's close friend to join him and others on a trip to the Florida Keys. This was back when Gaetz was first new to Congress. The text messages, according to ABC News, showed that Gaetz asked the woman if she would fly on a private plane for the trip with him, 3 other women, and 1 other man. Sources say the woman ultimately turned down the trip. House investigators recently ramped up their probe of Gaetz, looking into allegations that he paid for sex, as well as allegations about drug use and potential lobbying violations. Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing. Meantime, in our neck of the woods, D.C.'s fight to keep the Caps and Wizards playing at the Capital One Arena may end up in the courts. This after Mayor Muriel Bowser threatened to take action against Monumental Sports CEO Ted Leonsis if they move to Virginia before 2047.
I won't be able to talk about our legal strategy, but we have one. You're getting into the bucket of legal strategy, so I won't talk about that. I will say I have no intention of paying off the bonds early.
This week, Bowser made clear she plans to enforce the lease and what she believes are terms binding the Caps and Wizards to play in the district until 2047. Monumental Sports, on the other hand, think they have a perfectly legitimate out of the lease in 2027 if they pay off a $50 million bond that was issued by the council in 2007.
And I think it's incumbent on us to make sure people understand what the lease is, including legislators, so they know that we are operating definitively within our ability and our scope with the lease. We're not breaking our lease.
A spokesperson for Monumental Sports says that the bonds are being paid off by the people who attend events at the arena as we speak. Monumental has added a 4% tax on all ticket sales items sold in the arena. That's on top of the city's almost 6% tax on the same thing. And that money goes into a bond fund. Monumental says the money they've contributed to that fund far exceeds the original $50 million. That excess, they say, it goes into a general fund that the mayor can use for other priorities. But this difference of opinion is what could spark legal action. And in Prince George's County, a spokesperson for the court confirms that Judge April Ademoluyi continues to be inactive as she faces misconduct charges. The Maryland Commission on Judicial Disabilities has now scheduled a hearing on the claims that she, quote, engaged in repeated, non-consensual harassing communications of a personal nature with a judicial colleague and used threatening language in communications with that colleague. Ademoluyi denies the charges, and the three-day hearing is scheduled for April and May. And in Montgomery County, former Northwood High School track coach Giovanni Ramonte was sentenced to spend a year behind bars with 3 years of supervised probation after he pleaded guilty to sexually abusing one of his athletes when she was a minor. He will be registered as a sex offender for life. And in Virginia, Democratic lawmakers responding to the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade by passing abortion-related measures. One bill blocks the governor from extraditing someone to another state to face criminal charges if they had a legal abortion in Virginia. Another law blocks law enforcement from accessing data on period tracking apps. Whether any of those measures can get abortion opponent Governor Glenn Youngkin's signature, we'll have to wait and see on that one. And still to come, we dive deeper into the Atlanta District Attorney's day on the witness stand. Law professor Eric Siegel joins me next.